Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Dr. Justin Grabouski of Grabouski Chiropractic in Overland Park, Kansas. Justin and I have known each other for 15-ish, 16 years, I think.
Gotta be.
Played slow pitch softball together, straight out of playing college baseball when Justin's chiropractic school started a slow pitch team and they needed a fill-in. So that's how we go back. And Justin, let's find out a little bit more about yourself chiropractically and school-wise.
Well, don't sell yourself short, first of all, because you weren't a fill-in. You were a ringer, man. Like having a pitcher running around, throwing from the warning track to home plate. I remember those days.
Yeah, that's fun.
Dr. Justin Grabouski, I practice down here in Overland Park, Kansas. Like you said, we go back, way back to the chiropractic school days. So we've been on this journey for a long time. We run a practice down here where we treat people of all ages, from small children and babies and infants to toddlers to your average working class adults, athletes, parents, all the way up through geriatrics. I mean, the youngest person we've ever treated was 19 hours old, and the oldest is about 93 currently. So, man, if you're breathing, then we'll take care of you.
Right, absolutely. And you studied at Cleveland Chiropractic here in Kansas City, right?
Yep, went to chiropractic school here in Kansas City. Cleveland Chiropractic, which is now down here in Overland Park. Way back in the day when you and I knew each other, and we started down off of like 63rd and Troost area at the old school. But they have a beautiful campus down here now. We actually take care of a ton of the chiropractic students who come down and see us because we're pretty close to the college. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. What did you study undergrad to get into chiropractic school?
Man, way back, kind of in the beginning, I went through a lot of sports injuries, and I know you can kind of relate to this stuff too. So my path all along was definitely laid out to be medicine, orthopedics, something in the health and science field. I officially last June, I had my 5th major reconstructive surgery, from 2 knees to an ankle to an elbow and now a hip. So I have been a patient in that realm for a very, very long time. So I studied, wanted to be pre-med all the way. Played baseball in undergrad for those years, so I did a little bit of both. My actual major was chemistry with a minor in biochem. That was just kind of what I chose. And then along the way, ended up suffering a pretty nasty sports injury while playing baseball. Went to the trainers, the PTs, the orthos, and it was actually a chiropractor up in Omaha that kind of saved my season for me, got me in good enough shape to play, and that's what piqued my interest to go, wow, what's this chiropractic thing all about? And once I went in, shadowed, learned about it, man, I was hooked. I was hooked from there, and it really changed the trajectory of my career a lot.
That's pretty interesting. So what was the injury? Was that an elbow or a knee?
It's actually we were doing sprints one day in practice, and I tore my quad really bad, so bad that kind of the muscle had some separation. And the guy was kind of an expert in structural mechanics and a little bit of soft tissue work. So I would go see him 2 or 3 times a week, kind of whenever I could in between classes, practices. He'd get me in decent enough shape to be 60, 80, 90% on the weekends to play, kind of beat it all up. And we kind of went through that the last 4 to 6 weeks of the season until I finally had some time to heal. But where everything else helped, chiropractic is really what did it.
That's interesting. Walk us through, like you kind of talked about being able to go visit him when you had your free time between classes. Walk us through your daily routine as a business owner and doctor of chiropractic.
It's really a mix of both worlds. Obviously, I own my own practice, but it wasn't always like that. My first 6 years, I was an independent contractor with 2 partners, and I was extremely lucky to get in there, learn from those guys, kind of learn the business aspect from those guys. Your school does a really amazing job of teaching you how to be a doctor, how to treat patients, how to work on people. There's a little bit of business, but not enough to make a lot of people comfortable enough to go, man, I know exactly how to run this business and what I'm doing as an entrepreneur. So that took a little while to learn. Now it's my normal routine is I'm up in the morning and doing something to get moving, take care of my body. I mean, you've been in our office, you know, it kind of takes its toll if you don't take care of yourself a little bit, working on all these people all day long. But I get up, get moving. I like to do kind of a combination of like high interval, high intensity training, CrossFit type stuff. But we also do, my wife and I do a lot of yoga too, to kind of balance that out, to make sure that obviously after all these surgeries, my body's holding up pretty well.
Yeah.
Grab some coffee, get here early. And that's when my staff and I kind of get ready for the day, get prepared, handle any business stuff, insurance type stuff. And then once we start seeing patients at 9:30, all of that shuts off and it's only patient care while we're here at the office with patients.
Right.
We take a nice long lunch break every single day to get some rest, get off of our feet, get a little bit of energy back, and then we come back from 3 to 6 and we go back to just doing nothing but treating patients.
Right.
And so it's really great because, you know, as a chiropractor, as your own boss and business owner, you get to set your own hours, set your own schedule, kind of decide what works best for you and your family.
Right.
And man, that's a very freeing thing. And a lot of people that don't have that, I think that's the number one thing that they would really love to have.
Okay. Yeah. What how many patients average do you think you see a day?
That's you know, it really depends on the day. Some days are really, really busy, and some days we have a little bit more time. And on average, we don't focus so much on the numbers, but we do run the office in a way that's always available. And that's kind of our office motto. You've been in, we're very efficient with what we do. And the whole design there is to make sure that we're not turning anybody away.
Right.
So if you call me randomly on a Wednesday afternoon and you're like, man, I hurt my back swinging a golf club or throwing BP to these baseball players or taking hacks in the cages, we can immediately get you in. There's no stopping and saying, oh man, we don't have time for you. The schedule's full. Can't see you till Monday. Sorry. So we're a little bit different than most chiropractic offices that way, where we're a very efficient system to make sure we can get everybody in that needs us.
Right. And we were talking before we started the recording, and today's your day off. You came in to do this interview with me, which is awesome. And you said you had a patient text you and say, hey, you know, my back's hurting. Hey, I'm already here in the office. Go ahead and come on in and we'll get you taken care of. So I like that aspect. And I know that I've texted you or called you or just even walked in and said, hey, I'm in the area. I need some work done.
He's a lot like you. He likes to go swing the golf clubs a little bit too much and comes in a little twisted up. So
absolutely. What types of specialties or certifications like ART or anything like that have you had or recommend?
There are so many in the chiropractic realm now. Everything from the ART and myofascial work and soft tissue work to Graston, which uses the tools, to pediatrics, to sports injuries. There's upper cervical techniques. I mean, there's a million of them. Most of what I do now is a little bit less on the soft tissue side and more on the structural correction side. So we specialize more now in, you know, pediatrics, prenatal care, family care. I also still see, you know, a ton of athletes. You still send a ton of athletes my way, baseball players, golfers, anybody who needs us there. We also do a lot of scoliosis correction, and that's a really big part of our practice now. Is tons of people kind of seek us out for curvature corrections when we catch them early, especially younger kids, athletes, high schoolers, even adults that didn't know it was there. Geriatrics, obviously, you know, there's so many now that it's hard to even just stop and be like, oh, this is my absolute specialty, because we handle so many different conditions. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is anybody who's interested in the field, like the possibilities are endless. Like you can work on families, you can end up being a team chiropractor. You can do a million things in the chiropractic world now. It's really cool.
What's something that you wish you knew either in high school or college that would help you with your daily routine, or maybe something just with your business now?
Oh man, High school or college? I was very lucky to have a lot of really good coaches and mentors through high school and college. You know, it was a little different, small town Nebraska. You know, I'm sure you can relate a little more to this, but we played all the sports. You know, we went from football to basketball to track to baseball, so it was a little less of a specialty back then. So you got to have a little bit of experience in all the different realms, which meant a ton of different coaches and exposure to different people. And so I think the biggest things back then was just realizing, you know, the work that it actually takes to really become successful and accomplish things in whatever endeavor you're going into, whether it's a trade or medicine or chiropractic or even becoming any type of business professional. It just really doesn't matter. It's just all about instilling the good habits, I would say. And if I could go back now, I'd say, hey man, develop a little more good habits now so you have less to worry about later.
Right. In chiropractic, I know like if you're an athletic trainer, you're touching a lot of feet and doing ankle wraps and stuff like that. If somebody thinks that they're interested in chiropractic, what's something, if you don't like this, then chiropractic is not for you?
Oh man, that's a really good question. You know, I used to. There's a lot of people that come in to see us, especially younger people, middle school, high school, college kids, and I would ask them like, "Are you interested in becoming a chiropractor?" And they would say, "Oh no, I really don't like the popping and cracking noises. Like that really freaks me out." But even the thing about that is that there's so many techniques now. I mean, you've been on the table that you don't. They're low force, they're soft, they're gentle. There isn't even any cracking or popping involved.
Right.
So there just aren't too many barriers. There's so many different personality types that become chiropractors. Some of us are extremely extroverted people pleasers. Some of us are very introverted, and a lot of those people go into a little more of like the internal medicine side or the nutritional side, where they not necessarily wouldn't have to have as many patient interactions. There's a lot of chiropractors who take a specialty in radiology, so they're reading x-rays and doing those things. There just aren't many barriers to our profession. I mean, the other thing that people like to say is like, oh man, I hate sciences. I can't do all the sciences. Right. And that would be the one thing that, you know, it's a lot. The schooling is a lot from a science standpoint, from anatomy and physiology and chemistry and biochem. So if you just really despise all the sciences and you're way more of a mathematician type, then you can still do it. You can get through it, but it probably won't be quite as fun.
Right. Little harder in the studying.
Yeah.
Do you have a product, like a tool or a special table or anything that you would recommend other chiropractors look into, like just a daily thing that helps your chiropractic side of or adjusting stuff go smoother for you?
You know, we really rely on, you know, as far as our tables go, my table is specifically designed for a technique called specific prone, which is a more soft and gentle technique that's a little less aggressive. So the table is a lot taller for me, so I'm not bent over as far every single day working on people. It's a lot softer for the patient. It's shaped in a way that's a little more comfortable for the patient to get adjusted on. And as far as tools go, like I think that one's probably the most important in our office, because it saves me from a lot of wear and tear in the shoulders and the back, going down on those like standard super low chiropractic tables that you see. Man, the two things that get people the most in the chiropractic profession, the two most prevalent things are shoulder and hip injuries. And I think the tools that you use every day, as in the table that people are laying on and what you're using to adjust, is probably one of the most important, if not the most important thing to have inside of your office. But we're also different. Everybody prefers something just a little bit different.
Right. And what about a book? If you had a book to recommend to anybody, something that you've read recently or in the past, what's a good book that you think people should be reading?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I read a lot. I don't read a lot of books specifically about chiropractic.
Right.
And I know you see some of the stuff that I share. I love Ryan Holiday's books.
Okay.
He has some great books that are a little more about kind of stoicism in everyday life. I think James Clear's Atomic Habits is an excellent book for anybody looking to make a change in any part of their life. And I'm a huge Ben Bergeron fan, and I know I've sent you some Bergeron stuff before. And he has a book called Chasing Excellence.
Yeah.
That's one of my all-time favorite books to read. And like those books, I have read back through over and over and over and over. Books and podcasts, like that's a part of my everyday routine every single day.
So that, if going into that, what is something that you personally do to help relieve either stress, or maybe, you've seen some stuff happen at work that in the medical field, a lot of people see, the firefighters see random stuff that happens to them throughout the day. You may hear more than see the actual injury, or like you're not putting together a dislocated leg or something.
Right.
But you may hear or talk to patients more about some of the issues that are going on with them. And on a personal level, as you've had a patient for, 10, 15 years, what do you personally do to help kind of relieve or cope with some of that stress?
I'm really, really lucky because I have a profession that I don't have to take any work home with me. It's not like I have to answer emails or be on the computer or be plugged in on the weekends. Like when I'm here, I'm treating patients, and when I'm not here and we lock that door, like I get to completely unplug, take my drive home, and then just hang out with, my wife and our dogs and be away from it all. And a lot of people aren't in that situation where people are constantly plugged in and answering emails and doing things. And I think that separation of work and home is really what makes it so much easier to handle, because there's just a clearly defined line of like, now I get to take care of my body, let my mind rest, spend some quality time with my family, travel, run around, work out, do some yoga, whatever that is. It's very, very separate from being at the office plugged in. And, again, I think that's pretty rare. Like most people now are just plugged in 24/7. So it's a really undervalued and underrated part of our profession, that it's like work's at work and home is at home, and it makes life a lot less stressful.
Good. Well, hey, I'm going to let you run on your Friday off, and you can have some time to go get some of that workout in and get your stress taken care of. And we will look forward to talking to you again sometime in the future, and I will definitely be coming in for an adjustment as soon as I can find time during golf season.
I know, story of your life right now, man. Once it's spring and you're golfing, I don't see you very much. Thank you so much for having me. I also wanted to mention that if anybody watching this, or any of your students, if anybody's interested in learning more about the chiropractic profession, like I'm a phone call or a text away. I'll answer any questions anybody has. We also, every once in a while, we'll have people come shadow. And so whether it's chiropractic or me or a different guest that you have, like don't hesitate to reach out to people and say, hey, can I come see what you do? Can I come learn about what you do? Because in the end, like I feel like that's the biggest thing with everybody, especially in healthcare. Like if you're looking at PT or OT or chiropractic or all these different things, go shadow. Like go get in it, be a patient, go experience what it's like, and then be in the atmosphere and get to see and feel, and you will very quickly fall in love with something, whatever that one thing is. I feel like that's what happens the most with students, with college kids, even the chiropractic students. They've walked into an office and went, man, I love this. Like, this is what I want to do. So don't hesitate to start that really early. Even your high school students, like go shadow, go learn, like get submerged in something, and I guarantee you'll fall in love with something. Something will call to you.
That's awesome. That's probably the best thing I've heard today. That's really powerful. Well, once again, Justin Grabouski Chiropractic. I'll post his Instagram and website links below. We'll go from there.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you.